What's up everybody? Today we're gonna have 8 3D printed bathroom items that are either just plain fun or actually useful. So I actually only have one fun 3D printed item, and that'll be our first item. But first, let's go ahead and talk about a few things. As always, if you guys are enjoying the video, make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe. Anytime I see high engagement on a video, those are the ones that do extremely well. So remember guys, if you guys enjoyed anything at any point during this video, make sure you comment down below. And this bathroom video was actually inspired by one of your comments. So without further ado guys, let's go ahead and get into the first 3D print. So the first one is actually going to be this 3D printed bathroom sign. This is an extremely quick print. I believe it printed in less than an hour. Doesn't take much of your PLA. Now, this "Are you pooping" sign is actually pretty funny. So what I did was I put it on my bathroom door, and I did not tell my wife at all. I just let her find it on my bathroom door. I was gonna see how long it would go, but she said, you know, one of the times she flushed the toilet, she looks over and the dogs are just staring her in the face asking, "Are you pooping?" I just thought 3D printed signs are some extremely fun things that you can put in your bathroom. You know, it's a novelty thing. It's really just for your enjoyment. You can make them any color, or you can make a silk one. I just did a plain black one because it fit on my white door, but they're just something that's kind of fun, and they'll get you some laughs when people come over. Now our next print is actually a 3D printed trash can. So what I use this for is actually those dental floss picks. So I put this in the corner of my bathroom. I go ahead, and anytime I use one of those dental floss picks, I just go ahead and put it in there. I'm not using this for or really filling this up with like some wet trash or anything like that. It's really just for my convenience, so that way I don't have to go into the bathroom, you know, maybe someone stunk it up or something, and just put my dental pick in there. I have this really bad habit of leaving my dental picks on the actual bathroom sink. So this was something that I 3D printed. So that way it's just really easy for me. So I can just drop it in there. I don't have to worry about it. And now my wife's not gonna get mad when I leave them all over the counter. This one's also extremely stylish. You can print it in any sort of color. It's two-tone. So the top part actually prints separate. Let me go ahead and take this off here. And so does the lid. With that being said, you can see I just have a whole bunch of dental picks in here as well. And then because it's like this pattern, it hides the layer lines extremely well. Getting into our next print, we actually have a Razer holder. So this is a very simple one that it just works. Make sure you don't miss the hole though and fail like me. You know, it's never good when you miss the hole, but it does stand up quite easily. You can put this in your shower. You can leave this on your sink. You know, I find it really convenient because that way your razors are not sitting in water, especially when you're in the shower. You know, I had a tendency to leave them on the shower shelf, and then they're just sitting in that water anytime it gets wet, and they just rust really easily. So you can put this like on the top shelf, or if you just want to keep it somewhere so that way you don't have your shaver in a place where, I don't know, you don't want that touching the sink. Then you can go ahead and just use this to kind of prop it up and hold it. So that way also it's just not sitting on your sink. Keep yourself organized. The next 3D print we actually have is a Dr. Squatch soap holder. So I use Dr. Squatch, okay? Did you guys ever see that commercial where he kind of called you out for using the same soap that your mom picked out for you when you were in high school? That might have been me. So I am a Dr. Squatch user because he got me. So with that being said though, it's that perfect square. It does come in 2 pieces, so that way the water drains out of the front hole. You know, there's so many different soap holders, so if you use a different bar of soap, I'm sure there's a different soap holder for you on MakerWorld. Most of these 3D prints are going to be found, actually I think all of them are on MakerWorld. Also, what do you guys do with those little pieces of bars of soap? I kind of just have a tendency to leave them until they disappear from getting wet. You know, I'm afraid when I'm using them, I'm touching a little bit too much of stuff that I'd rather be touching with a bar of soap. But I thought this was an extremely cool print because the same thing like the Razer holder, I can put this on my shower shelf, and then that way my bar of soap is not just kind of getting all that soapy gunk on the shower like shelf. You don't have to clean it as much. And then, you know, since it's PLA, it's, you know, if it gets all gunky and nasty, you can just throw it away and print another one. You know, I'm going to use it for as long as you can. You could also just rinse it out while you're in the shower. You can make it really easy on yourself that way. But I printed it in this Polymaker green. Polymaker is sponsoring a future video. So while I had that order come in, I decided to place an order for this screen, and I will leave a link for it down below as well. One of the next things I printed, actually this ring holder, or just kind of this dish. You know, so a lot of times when I'm washing my dishes in the kitchen sink, or even washing my hands after I went to the bathroom, out of the bathroom, you know, I put my ring in here when I go to sleep. It's just a nice stylized, different type of bathroom dish. You know, this one's pretty big. I probably would shrink it down because I don't know what else. You know, maybe you can put some jewelry in here. You can use it for a lot of different things. You can also print it in a different color, but I thought this was just a simple, elegant 3D print that turns out to be pretty, you know, I didn't think it was going to be as good looking. You know, I thought, like I said, it turns out to be pretty good looking for what it is. It also has like kind of like a little ridge in the bottom, so that way it catches the stuff. Overall, I think it works out pretty good. And also that way you don't lose your rings down your sink drain when you're washing your hands or anything like that. I've almost done that a whole bunch of times. And you know, I'm not wearing any diamonds, so I can't imagine you guys that are wearing some diamond. I'll be so mad if I lost my ring down the sink. The next thing we got for you guys is actually this toothpaste squeezer. It actually works extremely well. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna actually stick your toothpaste in it, and then you're just gonna start cranking it. And you know, I kind of failed at this point. I didn't crank it enough, but it does work. You can see how well it works, or how much it's squeezing it. When you actually pull this toothpaste roll out from before, when I was testing it, it actually made it extremely flat. But overall, this toothpaste like squeezer really does the trick actually. And it's relatively an easy print. It doesn't take too much PLA. You might want to print this in like a PETG. I did do PLA and it seems to be a little bit brittle. Overall, PLA or PLA Plus would probably be better than PLA. PETG is probably the best option for you. But it does help you save on that expensive toothpaste. You know, when I'm using Sensodyne, that stuff is like $8 a tube. That is crazy. Go ahead and save yourself some money. Even if you're using a $2 roll of Colgate or Crest, or do you even call them rolls? A tube? Even if you're using a $2 tube of Crest or Colgate, you know, it might be worth it to save you some money. Inflation has been killer on that toothpaste. And you know what? Inflation hasn't really hit PLA over the years, right? So might as well print the PLA and, you know, save some money. The next thing we got here is actually this Q-tip holder. You take the lid off and you can just pile drive all of the Q-tips in there. It is two different colors. I did use the AMS on the top, so the little knob, you can actually choose a different color and then you print the base. And the other two pieces, two solid pieces, you actually just slide them together. If you can see here, you might want to put them in a little nicer than I did. I just kind of dropped them in, but I mean, it still works. And you know what? You totally don't put these things in your ears, right guys? Like, I know that we recently learned, or, you know, growing up, I always used to use them to clean out my ears, but now you're totally not supposed to do that. But if you're totally not going to do that, you know, and you have a spot for these, it just makes it a little more convenient if you're keeping them on your counter instead of in that big box. And also it does look pretty stylish, you know, with all of that kind of ribbed design around it. It hides the layer lines well. Like I've said before, even on like this trash can where it hides the layer lines pretty good, it does the same thing with this. And the last thing we got is actually this dinosaur toothbrush holder. It's really good for kids, honestly. I use it as an adult. It has a little hole in the bottom, so that way if you have any water left on your toothbrush, it'll actually drain through. But you can see, it makes it like you have a long neck dinosaur. I forget what they're called actually, so comment down below so that way you can give me some education. But this is the last item I have. I think it's really good for kids who are into dinosaurs. Honestly, again, my wife uses an electric toothbrush, so I'm stuck with the manual toothbrush. I just haven't gotten an electric toothbrush yet, so this is what I use. So if you're looking for one that's actually stylish, there's so many different ones on MakerWorld that have like different designs. You can keep multiple of them in there. There's so many better ones that you could use. I just thought this one was fun, and I had just got off watching Jurassic World Rebirth, so I just decided to print a dinosaur, and that's what we went with. So with that being said, guys, if you enjoyed any of the 3D prints in this video, please go ahead and leave a like on the video. Also comment down below what type of themed video I should do next. I am working on a desk organization one, so if that's one that you would like to see, remember to hit that subscribe button. Also as well, we will have an August 3D prints of the month video in the middle of the month. I plan on doing those in the middle of the month, so that way I can keep it to where, okay, we have 3D prints that came out in the beginning of August and the late half of July. But outside of that, guys, again, remember to hit that like button, hit that comment button, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you guys tomorrow for the 3D printing news.